Welcome back to the series. This is episode 3. Today we're going to learn how to create our own model for our songs and change our values controller to be a songs controller to return one of these model objects. So let's begin. First, we want to create a new directory for our models. Let's do it just like that. And let's add a new model for our songs. So we'll call it song.cs. So it's a C# object. Let's give it a namespace. We're going to say songs API, that's the name of our project, .models. So this is going to be our namespace. The namespace will generally follow your directory structure. So here we're inside our songs API, and within that, our models directory. So that's our namespace. Let's create a new class. Call it song. And that's all you really need to create a new class. We don't need a constructor or anything, but we do need to have some properties on this song. So let's create the first one. It's going to be a string called the title. And let's talk about what we're doing here. So in .NET, because it is statically typed, we do have to tell it what type of this property is going to be. In PHP, you would just say it's just a title, and then you'd set it later, and at runtime, it kind of figures out what it's supposed to be. In .NET, since we compile it, it has to know what type it's going to be, and that type cannot change. So we give it a name, title, and we have a get and a set. Now what this is saying is that you can call into this class and get the title, and you can also set the title. We'll get into more about how you can do mutators with these later, but for now, that's all you really need to know. Let's also give it an artist. All right. And one last thing is generally in C# for class attributes or class properties like this, they are uppercase. That looks pretty good. Now we also need to think about how this is going to look in our database. So let's give it an ID, and maybe also a created at. So public date time created at, and I think that's good for now. Let's clean this up a little bit, or we can just do the auto format document. There we go. So we have our model built. Next, let's modify our values controller. Let's rename this. We're going to call it songs controller. Change our controller name here to songs controller. Now let's see how this is working. If we go to Postman, let's go to our get all songs and change this from API values to API/songs. And we still return our two values. So everything's working as we would like with the API. Let's just change it now to actually return a song. Let's just fix this real quick. Change all API/values to API/songs, just so we can remember what we're looking at here. Now instead of returning a string array with these values, let's change it to return an actual song. So first, let's just create a song since we don't have the database hooked up or anything. So let's go up here and import our song model. So using, and then we're in the songs API.models. Now that we have that, we can say song equals a new song. I know that that seems a little confusing, especially if you're coming from PHP. First, we're saying what type of object we're going to create. It's going to be a type song. We give it a name of this variable, and then we instantiate a new song. Now you can use the shorthand of var here, and that will automatically figure out what this object is supposed to be. So you'll see this a lot, is just a var and then the name. Now let's give it some default properties. Since we don't have a constructor, we can just set it right here like this, adding curly braces. And then we can add any of our properties just like this. Let's give it a title. Do supermassive black hole as our title. Our artist is going to be Muse. Created at is going to be date time now. And let's just give it an ID of 1. So that's our song. Now instead of returning this array of values, we're just going to return song. Now if I save this, we're going to get a compilation error here. This is one good thing about a statically typed language, is you're going to get compilation errors before you're going to get into the whole runtime error issue. So what it's saying is that we cannot explicitly convert type songsapi.models.song to an ASP core MVC action result collection, blah 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 blah. It's like what's going on here? So the issue here is that the method is saying that it's expecting to return an action result with an IEnumeral of a type string. IEnumeral is just a interface that says it's going to be something that we can enumerate over. It can be an array of strings like we had before. It could be a list of strings, anything that allows enumeration. We're not going to return an enumeration of strings. We're actually going to return an enumeration of songs. And instead of returning a single song, we want to return an array of songs. So we're going to return a new song array, and in it we're going to have just the one song. Let's save that, see if the compiler is happy. It is. Let's run our postman, and now we get an array with each object being a song. We only have one in here to begin with. And now we have an endpoint returning our single song within an array. In the next episode, we're going to start working on getting the database hooked up so that we can return a list of songs from our database as opposed to hard coding it right here in the controller. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. If you like this video and you want to see more, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next episode.